I've already got the tire drawn on the set of plans. However, I still want to verify that this is going to work with the actual chainstay design. So I put the wheel and tire together, and I'm just verifying that the 420 chainstay length and the C-tube angle will all play well together. So we're going to need to cut the chainstays and get everything ready to go. Cutting the chainstays isn't too difficult in the sense that I have this socketed style dropout, which is kind of a plug and play system, really. So if you've never built a bike frame before, this is the easiest way to do it. These socketed dropouts are designed to fit like a lug, and the tube is round. It just slides in. You just braze it in, and there's not a lot of filing or cutting or special fabrication needed. So I chose to do it this way. I wanted it to be as simple as possible. The nice thing about these pre-formed socketed dropouts is that you can just slide them on there and braze them on without having to have a special fixture to hold everything together. So that's why I'm doing it this way, and just to kind of see how this all works out. So what I want to do is I want to make sure when I cut these chainstays that the round part of the tube will slide into the bottom bracket. So I'm measuring the diameter at the location of where I will be cutting the chainstays. And these chainstays are round, oval, round. And the oval section needs to be as close to where the tire is as possible to maximize your tire clearance. So I will be cutting the chainstays from the larger end at the bottom bracket, not cutting from the end that slides into the dropout. If I were to do that, it would actually move that round section away from where the fattest part of the tire is, and I don't want to do that. So, but because I'm going to be cutting quite a bit off of these chainstays, I wanted to verify that they will still fit inside my lugged bottom bracket shell. Yep, and it'll fit. Okay, so we can cut this off and it will still fit. That's what I wanted to check. Right there, so we can leave ourselves some room. They're trimmed up and ready to go. I've already done the miters, and we've slipped them into the bottom bracket shell. And now I'm putting my little fancy jig that I made, which is just 2 pieces of angle iron and some clamps. These are wood clamps that you can buy at any hardware store. And this steel I purchased at the steel mill in my area, or not mill, but steel supplier. So you can buy bulk materials. I should have bought aluminum. In hindsight, these are actually very heavy pieces of steel. So I have Miss Schools here with me, and she's going to help me carry this out to the bike stand where we'll be doing our brazing exercise. Miss Schools is cranking that down. I told her to make sure it's really tight. So here we go, guys. We're up on the stand. Fire that torch up, everybody. Sit back, get a cold one. We're going to heat up this metal for all of you. We're going to braze this bad boy together. So what I'm going to do is just tack these outsides real quick. And that way the heat won't, hopefully the heat won't cause things to shift. If I get just a little tack on here. And what I've also found is if you heat up the flux a little bit while it's really wet, it kind of crystallizes it and then it sticks so it doesn't drip everywhere. Okay, I'm just going to put a little silver right there on both sides. Just to hold it in place, that's all. And this is 45% because I'm all out of 56. I'm just getting a little bit of this flux warmed up. Put some heat on all this tube here. So that should hold it. Now what I want to do is I just want to start on the insides here and try to warm up this bottom bracket shell. Just want to make sure that the heat is in the bottom bracket shell so that it'll flow down into the socket of the bottom bracket, but you still have to get the actual chainstay tube heated up also so that the silver will bond to both when it's inside the bottom bracket shell, it's bonded to the steel of the chainstay and the steel of the bottom bracket shell. So I'm not going to bore you guys again with like a lot of me fumbling around with this torch and this silver and taking a long time. So I'm just going to show you some samples, but basically I'm just brazing in the chain stays here. And we've got it all held together with those steel angles. Well, the 56 or the 45% didn't flow as watery, so I was trying not to create too much of a fillet, but it definitely filled in the shorelines a little bit more like puddly, more fillet looking. But I don't care. It's the bottom bracket. The 45 is probably a little stronger, so. And I burnt through exhausted the flux a little bit more on this time around, but it's okay. You know, it'll clean up. And I'll be able to file out and smooth out some of that excess silver that got in there. So at least I have something to work with. Whereas if you don't have enough, then you're looking at it thinking, oh, I have to touch that up. So, but the frame looks straight, and that's the most important thing actually at the end of the day. You know, it can all look good, but if it's not straight, it doesn't ride straight. What I'm doing here. So we can try it like this. Actually, I'll mark it on this side. Start bending it like right there. Starting to look better. Like, what is he doing? Bro, you're gonna dent that seat post in that bike stand. You clamp it too hard. Might bend your seat too if you clamp it in there. Still gotta put a little more bend starting further back. But it's getting close. I'm gonna have to sand on that a little bit, but hope this light's any good, but it'll give us something.
It is, it's helping.
Just kidding. I might need to dimple these chainstays a little bit. Yeah, I think this would be a cool bike. I'll ride it. I want this bike to be straight. I mean, I care less about how perfect it is. I mean, I do want it to be perfect. But I more importantly want it to ride well. You know, I want it to be straight. I don't want it to have some weird problem that I'm always going to be regretting. Hook that down a little. I have to file some more of it off actually. The fine tuning now.
Yeah, so many fine details to pay
Yeah.
attention to.
Well, those things, they're just decorative really. We just want them not to be popping out. Otherwise they're not not gonna look good. All right, guys, it's time to get our safety glasses on here and get ready to braze these seat stays and the dropouts onto the chain stays. So just like before, we're going to heat up the lug. The lug is a little bit thicker, so what I try to do is I try to get that warmed up first and then start working on the tube, and then I watch the flux. When it turns kind of a, I guess, a watery looking, has a shine to it like water, it's generally ready for the silver to start flowing. So start adding a little silver here, and then just try to bring that heat down into the bottom of the socket to try to pull the silver down into the bottom of the socket. That's just what I'm trying to do. I've got gravity working with me here this time. And yeah, so try not to use too much heat. These sockets and lugs are small, so they're going to heat up a lot faster. So you don't need a lot of heat on there. And then you don't burn up the flux as fast, and then the silver will flow better. That's the goal anyway. So we'll just work on both of these, get the seat stay and chain stays both brazed in at one time here, so I don't have to go back and clean. Because if once you're done, if you stop in the middle, you have to clean everything back up to bare metal, add more flux, and then you can start over. So you want to try to get it done in one go if you can. Yeah, it's a little bit tight. Oh, it looks pretty straight. Looks pretty straight to me. You know, you can't. Let's take a look at it like that. Yeah, I mean, we could throw some straight. What we can do is, see, we'll take this wheel out. We can get a string, run it around. Once we get the, we can check this. We know it's a little tight, so we got to cold set a little bit, but not much. Just a couple millimeters. But I think what I'm going to do, because it looks straight. Looks straight to you?
Yeah, that looks really straight.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, I think, is just check the wheel. What I'm trying to do is this top wheel and the bottom of the wheel parallel to this. That's the question. On this one, I'm using brass filler or bronze. Low fuming bronze is what it's called. And a different flux. So this flux is designed to be used with the low fuming bronze. And I haven't used the bronze in a while. I first purchased it when I made my first rack, and I was using it for that, and it was very difficult to use with stainless steel. And then I found out later that it just doesn't work well with stainless steel, and that you need to use a silver base filler rod. So I ended up getting just some basic silver, and then that taught me about how silver works. But I found out that the silver is still really hard with stainless steel when you're trying to do fillets, where you're trying to build up a fillet. So then when I went over to John Fitzgerald, and we built a rack together, he showed me how to use the, the, the temperature correctly with the torch. But then he also showed me some other filler material, filler rod, that works way better. So there's a brand called Fillet Pro, which is a company. It's actually, the brand is called Cycle Designs, and the product is Fillet Pro. And it is a very good filler rod for stainless steel when you're trying to build up like a fillet, if you're doing fillet brazing with your racks. If you're doing lugs, you don't probably need that type of filler rod because it doesn't flow. It's designed to not flow like a traditional silver will flow. So the brass definitely takes a lot more heat and it builds up a nice fillet.
Yeah, that's true. There's still more flux on there.
Yeah, and kneeling down was kind of a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
So it might be nice to work now right from here and just kind of, in fact, I could even rotate this so it's flatter. Just work right there. So that's going to basically wrap up this video. We do have a few things still we're going to need to finish up before our next video. And I'm not sure I'm going to film it, but we'll see. My next video, I'd like to be able to take this out on a test ride. Pretty much done. Where to start here in this? We're not finished with the frame, but we're basically finished building the actual frame. So what's left to do is water bottle bosses, cable stops for the brake cables and shifters, the down tube shifter bosses, and the rear brake bridge. And the rear brake bridge, I'll have to set it based on the caliper reach. So I'll get the wheel put in and all that. And the heating up of, heating everything up, the dropouts are a little tight, so I'll have to cold set that. But I'm going to do that with a string, so make sure that I get the dropouts centered with the seat tube. So that'll be something I'll work on. It's just kind of tedious, so I don't think I'm going to film it. It's a pretty standard process, and it's only a couple millimeters, so I don't want to kind of bore everyone with that. But I've got to face the head tube here. I just have it kind of rough cut down to almost the top of the lug. And then just a lot of cleanup, a lot of sanding, a lot of filing. I still want to clean up a lot of these lugs here, get everything looking really good. I might go back and touch up a few spots where the silver kind of flowed out. When I used the bronze I should say, to braze these on, I noticed that it took a lot more heat, and I was worried about that because the silver melts at a much lower temperature. So I was worrying that it was going to start actually flowing out of these lugs here, out of the shoreline. So I'm going to have to go back and kind of touch up a little bit on a few of these. I just want to make sure that there's enough silver in there to hold those down. Who knows, maybe that's not necessary. And then, yeah, so anyway, yeah, so a lot of little things to do, but in general, here it is. If you just watched this video, this is going to fit. This bike is a rim brake bike that's designed for 35 millimeter wide slick tires and just dual pivot caliper brakes. So just a very simple bike, chrome moly steel, Columbus SL. Yeah, lug construction. First bike frame I've ever made. The process is pretty interesting, but I just wanted to make sure that this frame was going to be straight and strong. Those were my main criteria. And then I like the lugs because I just think lugs look good, and I want to learn the traditional method of frame building. It's timeless. This bike frame will be cool in 100 years from now, just as cool as it is now. At least to me, anyway. Some of you probably aren't into like the lugs and stuff, or steel. But I think it's cool. I think steel is a great material. I don't see it going anywhere. I think it's lasted as long as it has because it is the premier material for building a bicycle frame. And yeah, so anyway, we'll conclude some more in the next video. But here it is, everyone. Henry Wildberry's first bicycle frame.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. And also I should say thank you to Alex Mead for providing these blocks. I bought them, but he made them. So shout out Alex Mead. Frame Builder Supply, Torch and File. Thanks to John Fitzgerald for giving me some pointers. And Russian River Cycles for giving me some pointers. So, yeah, is there anyone else I should give credit to, Miss Coles? Miss Coles for filming. Thank you very much for all your filming, Miss Coles. You did a terrific job filming all this.
Thank you.
So thank you. And thank you all for watching. I hope this was a fun video series. And we will have one more where I will be writing it. So stay tuned.